Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of the NeoGamr Podcast. This is our, believe it or not, our 15th edition. 15 episodes we've been doing this, both on NeoWin and now on NeoGamr. I, as always, am John Callahan, and with me, as always, is Larry Cooney. How are you, Larry?
Good, John. How about you?
I'm doing better. I was not feeling too well this afternoon, but I'm recovering now. So
allergies by any chance? Because my allergies are kicking in.
Not allergies. I don't seem to have allergies. My wife has allergies. I don't.
Lucky.
But no, it was just I was just tired. I had to do some non some home related work, and it was a little bit tiring for me. Also joining us as always is Tim from Australia. Hey Tim, how are you?
Hey guys, I'm doing good. Yeah, sorry to hear about you feeling a bit sick there, John, but yeah, hopefully you recover, and yeah, it's good to be back on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm feeling good, and of course Tim is handling both our audio and video streaming. So those of you who are listening to us live, you know that he's the man who's been handling this very well for the past several weeks. Once again, it's been a very busy week in terms of gaming news, so let's just get right down to it. One of the big game reveals today, actually yesterday, was Crysis 3 from Crytek and publisher EA. There hasn't been a whole lot of details yet about the game itself, other than the fact that it takes place several years after the end of Crysis 2. And in the interim, New York City has been encased under some kind of dome, and it's turned into some kind of wild jungle-like environment. And your nano-suited power character has to go back in and deal with the bad guys. And as usual, the game will be powered by Crytek's latest version of CryEngine 3. They actually released a new development trailer for CryEngine, which showed off some pretty cool effects, and I'm assuming that those effects will be shown in Crysis 3 when it comes out in spring of 2013. I enjoyed the original Crysis game quite a bit.
Yeah, me too.
And I also enjoyed Crytek's first game, Far Cry, quite a bit too. Crysis 2 was a little bit of a disappointment. I didn't feel like the game had the openness of the first game in the series, and it felt a little more like a console port made for consoles rather than for the PC, which is what the original Crysis was made for. So, but this one it sounds like this one's going to be kind of like the same, since it's going to be taking place in the same setting, although in a different kind of environment. It's sort of we may be in for more of the same. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree with you on the whole not as open thing in Crysis 2. It just felt like, they had all those buildings there, but you couldn't do anything with them. Like, you couldn't really go into all of them, and I think that was one of the problems, I guess, with making it for the consoles, is you can't, have it as expansive. But yeah, just looking at the screenshots for Crysis 3, it looks pretty amazing, especially with this bow thing that they have, in the jungle, and combining the jungle with the sort of city environment could work out really well for them, especially if they, make it specifically for the PCs. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. It could be one of the hit titles of next year. So it is a bit of a wait though. So that's why I disappointment.
Yeah, they're taking pre-orders for a game that's coming out a year from now. So we'll see what happens with that. Larry, what do you think? Did you play the first two Crysis games?
Absolutely. I played Far Cry as well. Really enjoyed Far Cry. Loved Crysis Warhead, and I'm actually gonna have to somewhat disagree with you guys. I kind of liked Crysis 2. Yeah, it was nowhere near as open. It was nowhere near as open. I'll definitely agree with you there, but I kind of liked it. I still think overall it kept kind of the same Crysis formula where you could approach a situation in a couple different ways, and I think that alone is a pretty big deviation from your standard first-person shooter. So,
I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. But with that said, I'm not too sure. Excuse me, I'm not too sure how excited I am about going back to New York City. I feel like we kind of just did that. Why do we have to do it again? And I did read that there's going to be some kind of, I forget. I think it's going to be like, towards the later levels in Crysis 2. It was more like a garden or something. I forget the name of it, but it was a real kind of almost like a jungle type environment. So I read that they're going to be introducing something along those lines again. So maybe you could have a feel of the first original Crysis. But I'm just a little skeptical about returning to New York. But overall, I love the series, so I'm looking forward to it. And the visuals do look amazing.
They do look amazing. I mean, there's no doubt that the Crysis games are among the best looking games ever made. No, you can talk about the gameplay and quibble about that, but the visuals are certainly some of the best ever. For some reason, the Crysis games, and this also kind of happened with Far Cry, they all have multiplayer, but for some reason the multiplayer never really clicked with a large audience of gamers. Unlike, say, the Call of Duty games or the Battlefield games, which always have a large multiplayer audience, the Crysis games, mostly have a lot of single-player fans and not a lot of multiplayer fans. I don't quite understand why, because they've put a lot of effort into making the multiplayer pretty unique in their various games.
Yeah, and I actually enjoyed it. Tim, did you get to play the multiplayer or no?
I actually skipped the multiplayer because I just enjoyed the single player so much. So that's what I was just going to say, that it was good enough. So I guess maybe some people just skipped it, but yeah.
The multiplayer I thought was pretty well done.
Yeah, but they really made an effort with the first game, with Crysis Wars. It was basically a separate game. Basically a standalone game that you could play, and it was pretty. It was like there was a lot of RPG elements to it, and there was some a lot of objectives that you had to achieve and things like that. Maybe it was just a little bit too complicated, perhaps. I don't know, but like I said, for some reason it never really registered with a large audience. So
yeah, and I really liked the on the fly gun customization. I always thought that was really cool. That I hadn't seen that before in a game. I don't know if it's been in another game, but I enjoyed that so much. It was just so good.
Yeah. Yep. There was a little bit of a controversy last year, I remember, when Crysis 2 came out for the PC, and it was DirectX 9 only, and people were expecting this to be DirectX 11 when it came out, and it wasn't. And Crytek eventually released a DirectX 11 patch several months later for PC owners. I'm assuming that it'll be DirectX 11 out of the box for Crysis 3 when it comes out. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Yeah, that was beat. I remember because I did play it on my PC, and I was so disappointed, and I wound up beating it way before the DirectX 11 even came out. So I fired it up once to check it out, but that was it. That was a pretty. I thought that was a pretty worthy controversy, actually, because, they had touted all this stuff about the DX11 capabilities of it, and then, they released a PC game without DX11. That was just ridiculous. That screamed to me that it was a console port. So I think,
I agree.
Right. Yeah, it did to a lot of gamers too. So I think the controversy was just as much about the fact that what was once an exclusive now was obvious where their loyalties lay. So yeah, I remember that. That was pretty messed up.
Yep. So like I said, we're definitely looking forward to Crysis 3. It'll definitely. I would almost certainly think it'll be DirectX 7 when it comes out, and of course we'll be following that in the months ahead. There was an interesting little rumor late last week and early this week about Apple's CEO Tim Cook paying a visit to Valve's offices over in Bellevue, Washington. I actually saw a funny comic strip about these two guys debating. Oh my God! Oh, Tim Cook is visiting Valve. They're visiting. What can they do? Are they going to be teaming up to make a game console? And they have, and then they have a little panel at the end where Tim Cook is shown at the office saying, "Hey, can I use your bathroom?"
That's good.
So, I don't think it was quite that casual for that meeting, but there's been a lot of speculation that Apple is getting ready to release a television product, not the Apple TV set-top box, which they've been out for several years, but an actual television project with iOS or a version of iOS inside. And the new rumors are that not Valve, but Apple is going to have a console included in that television, which will have both touch controls and a Kinect like motion sensing gesture controls. And the speculation is that that Valve and Apple are somehow in cahoots to bring this kind of technology to the Apple television product. I have to say, if this is true, I would be worried. If I were Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, I'd be worried sick. I don't know about you. I would be, if this comes out in 2012 and it has this kind of concept inside of it, it's gonna be a huge seller, and it's gonna pretty much overshadow whatever Nintendo is going to do with the Wii U in 2012 as well. I do have some doubts about Valve's involvement in it, however. Valve has been pretty adamant about the fact that they do not like closed systems. They don't like the fact that Microsoft's Xbox Live is basically a closed system. They much prefer the Sony more open PS3, which is why Steam actually supports PS3 for Portal 2. So I'm not so sure about that. Maybe they're just meaning to just to compare notes about their two projects and see if they're not conflicting. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Tim. My kind of guess at it all is I don't think it's a console. I think it's the next version of the iPad that Apple has listened loud and clear, and they know that the iPad lacks any type of true controller. So I think there's going to be a new iPad that introduces some kind of new control scheme. Like I think they might even go as far as actually making physical, almost analog sticks. But if anyone could reinvent it, it could be Apple. So I don't know. And to go with what you said about Valve not liking closed systems, that's definitely historically correct. But there's one thing that Apple has in its favor, and that's a whole lot of money, and right now pretty much the largest market share. So if anything was ever going to change them from not liking the closed systems, I think it could be a partnership with Apple. So yeah, I'm leaning more towards not a console, but something to do with the iPad, making it more gamer centric.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't think of that, Larry. So that's a really good point. That it doesn't seem to fit the TV product for Apple, like the actual Apple TV box, or even having their own console. It doesn't seem like it's their style. It seems more like they will go with something more on the casual gamer side. Yeah, an iPad, some new iPad with new controls would really fit the bill quite well, and it could sell really well as well. But I don't think that they would include like the controls on the actual device. It would have to be like an add-on or something, because they're all going on about how thin it is, and if they put analog sticks on there, it's going to make it a bit thicker, and some people aren't going to use it, and that'll be disappointing for them. So I could definitely see something like that happening. But yeah, I think Apple will definitely try and attack the gaming market a bit more, considering their huge hoard of cash that they have just lying around. So you might see something, and especially if it launches before any Xbox next generation or PS4. If it launches before them, Microsoft and Sony are going to be in a bit of trouble, I think. So we'll just have to wait and see how E3 plays out and whether Apple turns up.
Yeah, I don't think that Apple will probably turn up at E3, but I think that they'd like to do their own stuff. In fact, I think I think they exhibited 1 year at E3, and
imagine this. Imagine a Valve trailer with just an Apple logo at the end, and that's it.
Now that could happen. That could certainly happen. I think it's certainly
Yeah.
an interesting turn of events because under Steve Jobs, Apple has never really been a huge game a company, even though Jobs has had people like John Carmack show off upcoming games like Quake and Doom, and even showed the very first Halo trailer ever in a Macworld conference so many years ago. But in terms of their actual game participation, Apple has been kind of hands off, and but at least until the iOS and the iPhone came out, where people could download games to the device, and that's really and I think Tim Cook. Now that Tim Cook is here, I think he's probably more open to the fact that maybe Apple should directly embrace the game industry more, and I think that Apple also sees the game industry is weaker than it has been in a long time.
Absolutely.
Last week, the NPD group mentioned that retail sales, not game, downloadable games or things like that, but just sales from retail stores, hardware and software went down a combination of 25%, and that's like the third double-digit, drop in 3 months. And people are just not paying for games in retail anymore. They're just not. And Apple knows this, and they can create a product that will let people just download games completely without buying a disc, and do it cheaply with their iOS model of making games 99 cents or $5 or some number like that. And that could really undercut the big three game console makers. And I wouldn't be surprised if Apple is thinking seriously about doing this.
Yeah, but again, I think it would have to be more casual than serious gaming. I don't think that people, like serious gamers like me, I don't think I'd go out and see like an Apple console or something and choose that over the renowned Xbox or PlayStation. But I could see it attacking the casual market, definitely. Of course, then there's the other. Go on.
Go ahead.
But the thing is, I agree with you, Tim. But the thing is, the casual market is way bigger. So
yeah, it is. It's booming.
People are gonna go where the money is. That's it's a scary time.
Yeah, if you could
if
you could pick up a $5 game that you can play like just 20 minutes and then just leave it, then that's what people are going to buy over the big expensive games. Excuse me. Of course,
yeah, absolutely.
Of course, Tim Cook might have visited just to see about Steam on Mac. That's the boring thing that could have happened out of all that.
Oh yeah, it could be as boring as that.
Yeah, but Steam is already on Mac, so I mean, unless they want to make it better somehow, but it's already there, so I don't buy that one. At least I don't want to, because it is very boring.
Well, here's the thing about you were talking, Tim, about how this could be just a casual experience. I'm not so sure. I think it depends on what hardware Apple puts in this rumored device. The current iPad already has hardware specs that rival that of the Xbox 360 or the PS3. And I also like to point out, if you have Apple TV, not Apple TV, but AirPlay connected, you can actually play games on your new iPad on your big screen TV with that big Retina display and everything. They're slowly moving into that game console type of area. And
have you ever done the AirPlay though on the TV? Because I have.
I have.
Yeah, it's nothing to I specifically picked up a Apple TV like 2 weeks ago. Well, it was kind of for research for work as well. I was able to write it off, but the big part of the reason I wanted to get it was for the whole AirPlay thing, because I was like, all right, let me finally check this out. And it's pretty, I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's pretty weak. Like, it's just not that good. Yeah.
Well, all the more reason to do what we suggested, and have Apple develop some kind of game controller that would be hook up to this device and have a more have a better experience. And again, if they're developing some kind of Kinect type of device, that could help even more. So there's all sorts of possibilities. Again, none of this is confirmed. All of this could be bull crap at the moment. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I do think that Apple has got more plans for the game industry than what they're letting on right now, though. And again, if I were among the big three console makers, I'd be trying to come up with some contingency plans, and I mean ASAP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially after the reports of Sony, they're doing bad. It's sad.
Oh yeah, their newly installed CEO is making some changes. But although he did say that he's going to make gaming one of their core businesses, so they're going to be putting a lot of effort into that. So anyway, just want to talk about this very briefly. Wasteland 2's Kickstarter campaign finished up just a few hours ago, and it actually collected in total just over $3 million, which is pretty amazing. It actually collected just over 2.9 million in the Kickstarter campaign, proper. But there are some people who are unable overseas or unable to pledge their money to Kickstarter, and they launched a PayPal effort for them, and they collected over $100,000 for PayPal. So they basically went over the $3 million mark, and that basically means that the folks at An Exile Entertainment are going to be able to have a mod editor for the game. So nice. Another Kickstarter successful Kickstarter campaign with over $3 million. I think that actually beat out Double Fine's event. I'm trying to look up what Double Fine did. But it's still pretty amazing to have all that money being poured into games that were basically ignored by big game publishers.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I read your review on. I read your interview from the dude from Wasteland 2. Yeah, he says it quite well here. He says that yes, you're talking about. It's amazing that Kickstarter's funding all these games. And he says, yeah, the model's here to stay, and it's fantastic news for some old guard and mid-sized developers. And yeah, I agree. It's a great way to fund your games if you can't get like a solid publishing deal. So again, I'm eager to see the game too. It looks quite interesting. Wasteland 2 came out. Wasteland the original came out before I was born, so I couldn't exactly play that game, but I might give this one a try because it definitely looks good, and it's got a lot of attention in the media as well. So I'm hoping for something quite good here.
Yep. Actually, the Double Fine campaign raised over $3.3 million, so it actually did outdistance the Wasteland 2, but not by much though. So we've had two games on Kickstarter that have been. Not only went well over their goals, but actually collected over $3 million in total. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And there's another there's another game, the Shadowrun Returns. They've still got a long way to go before that campaign ends. I think they've raised. I'm trying to look that up right quickly, but I know they've raised over $1 million with some time to go. Here it is. It's 1.195 million with 11 days to go. They probably won't make the $3 million mark, but they'll certainly generate a lot of money for that game. And other games have also been successful in raising their goals. So again, this is another instance where the big game publishers are being superseded by these different business streams. And again, I'd be worried for them. So we'll see what happens with that. There was interesting little some news for some old school gamers like myself and Larry. Larry, did you play the original Rune from Human Head when it came out over 12 years ago?
No, I did not.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It was Unreal. I think it was Unreal 1 engine game. It was basically you played this big old Viking who was a third person game who basically just cut his way through monsters and stuff like that. And it was a lot of fun. Not the most sophisticated game in terms of gameplay, but it was still a lot of fun. And it also has a pretty small but very loyal fan following. So a few days ago, the folks at Human Head launched a Rune Facebook page and basically said they were going to consider launching a sequel to Rune after 12 years. So what do you guys think about that? Do you think we'll see something like that pop up on Kickstarter or some other way? And what do you think about that?
Oh, I haven't played the game. It does sound like it was a bit early in my life.
Yes.
So I don't really know much about it.
But no, just to get back to the whole Kickstarter thing. I think it's definitely a trend that we're just gonna see more and more of, and in a way, I think the times are kind of dictating it as well. I think the whole Kickstarter thing is really just the natural progression of things, and it's all just a result of the big game mentality of gaming nowadays. So I think the whole thing is definitely here to stay, and we've only I think it's probably only just scratching the surface of the whole thing. I do think there'll be a point where it will get incredibly saturated, but I think ultimately it will be up to the fans to decide what should get made and what shouldn't, and I think it's kind of here to stay, and I personally am really, really happy that the whole phenomenon even started, because it means we're going to get to play games that we should have been playing all along, but probably wouldn't have, because developers wouldn't want to take a risk on. Publishers wouldn't want to take the risk on it. So it's a great thing as far as I'm concerned.
Yep. Also want to briefly mention something we posted up this afternoon. Microsoft has announced that Halo 4 will be coming out on November 6th, which is Election Day here in the U.S. Tim, in case you didn't know that. So we'll be able to
know that.
Yep, we'll be electing a president and going out and shooting up with our Spartan armor on that same day. So just wanted to briefly mention that. There really isn't much news except for that release date. Also wanted to mention that if you were playing the Diablo 3 closed beta, you have about 2 weeks to finish up, because Blizzard has announced they're going to be shutting down the closed beta servers on May 1st in preparation for the game's long-awaited launch on May 15th. Yes, nearly 4 years after the game was first announced, and that's definitely going to be the big game of that month in May. And there's actually quite a bit of major games coming out that month too.
You should try to get a review copy, John.
I'm trying to. I actually haven't had a chance to email Blizzard yet. I'm trying to see if I can get an interview with the folks from Blizzard about the game before it comes out, but we'll see what happens with that. Tim, did you want to talk about a couple of the games that you've played this week in our absence?
Yeah, I've actually managed to play 2 games this week because I've had a lot of free time. I was playing the original Darksiders game in heading up to the release of Darksiders 2 this June, I believe, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm not sure. Have you guys played Darksiders?
I have not.
Fair enough.
Neither have I. Yep.
It was a bit of a under the radar game, I think, but it's really, really good. I mean, what's a good way to describe it? It's sort of like a cross between playing like God of War, sort of like that style.
Oh wait.
So
yeah, I did play it. I played it. Yeah.
The dude with the big sword, and you go around in the city somewhere, and I don't really remember much of the story because it was pretty stupid, but the gameplay was pretty good. So
yeah, no, I did play it actually. It was good.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to the sequel. Playing, in Darksiders you play War, which is one of the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. The story is pretty stupid, but you play a different one in Darksiders 2. So I'm excited to see what different combat moves and all that comes up with that. But the game that I actually enjoyed more than that, surprisingly, has been Lego Harry Potter. I've been a huge Lego fan for a long time, and I've played most of the Lego games. For some reason, it took me a while to play this one, but it's just so good. Like, I'm not like a 10-year-old kid or anything, but it's just amazing. It's just like all the cutscenes and stuff, even though they don't have like proper voice acting, it's just so lovable. And seeing all the Lego characters running around and all the unlockable stuff, it's a really, really good game. So I don't know if you guys love the Lego games, but yeah, that's what I'm enjoying heaps.
I've played the Lego Batman game quite a bit. I enjoyed that. I played a couple of the Lego Star Wars games. I haven't played the Lego Harry Potter games.
It's much better than those two. Seriously, I don't know how they did it, but there's so many more, like, they've just improved it heaps. Like you've got a whole bunch of different spells to get past, and solve the puzzles and stuff, and there's heaps more characters than those games, so yeah, I'm assuming they'll play that for a long time, so...
Nice. I'll have to check the demo of that out. Yeah, definitely.
And they've got the second one too. They've got years 1 to 4 in one game, and then the final 3 years in the second game. So I guess that's what I'll be playing after I play this game.
All right, Larry, have you been playing some games this week?
No, unfortunately, been pretty busy. Just been playing Rayman on my Vita when I can. That much. I'm still addicted to it. It's an awesome game. I think I'm over halfway done now. Finally.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I've actually been playing Tribes Ascend from the folks at High Res Studios. We actually did an interview with their COO Todd Harris just before the game eventually went live yesterday. No, not yesterday, but last week. Although it's been in open beta for some time. It's a lot of fun. As a person who played the original Tribes to death way back when, over 10, 15 years ago, it looks like a graphically updated version of the original, and it plays that way. It's fast. You have your ski, you have your jet suits, you got you have your weapon. It's just, I couldn't ask for a better multiplayer sci-fi shooter experience, because it just had everything I ever wanted in that kind of a game. It's not a corridor shooter. You're not constantly running around trying to pick up stuff. There's all sorts of stuff you can do. You can jetpack, you can ski, you can there's an offensive and defensive. There's all sorts of stuff in there. And the best thing about it is you can play it for free and not have to worry about paying for anything. I'm not a big fan of the free-to-play microtransaction model. I'll just say that right up front. And I kind of understand why High Res Studios went that route, because I think they can see that people will pay money to get upgrades to their loadouts and things like that. At the same time, I think they'll probably have a huge amount of success with this game and that kind of a setup. So. Have you got? I know, Larry. You told me you played the original Tribes when it came out.
Yep. And I'm literally installing Tribes Ascend right now.
I think you'll like it. If you're as big of a fan of the game of the original game and Tribes 2 as I was, I think you'll really like it.
Oh yeah, no, I've been looking forward. I was hoping to get into beta, and for whatever reason I didn't, and then I just forgot about the open beta. So no, I've been looking forward to this one for a while, so I'm definitely going to check it out some point this week.
Yep.
And it's free, so no losses.
Yeah, exactly. You can't go wrong with free. And Eurogamer, one of our competitors, I guess now, actually gave it a review of 100 out of 100, which it's pretty amazing. It's getting some really good reviews, and it just shows you again, good old-fashioned game IP, if it's done well,
hey, look, we're quoted.
Still has an audience.
Yeah, they quote us. I thought that was good. I guess that's you, right, John?
Side. Yeah, that was a quote from me. I thought I went over when I played an early version of the game when I was at QuakeCon last August and wrote an article about it, and I guess they used that quote in there.
Oh, nice.
So
that's awesome.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, definitely everyone, if you love the original Tribes games, or if you've never played it, you will enjoy Tribes Ascend. I guarantee you. And again, it's free, and I think you really like it. Let's see. Let's see. Upcoming games. Of course, this week we've got the Witcher 2 enhanced edition for both the PC and also for the Xbox 360. That should be the big game this week. Next week, as we've mentioned before, is a game I'm really looking forward to playing, Prototype 2 from Radical Entertainment and Activision. Hopefully Activision will give this game a lot of love in terms of marketing, because this game, I think, will probably have a tendency to kind of be pushed to the side a little bit by some gamers, and I hope they don't, because I hope that they'll at least the original game was just a lot of fun, and I think this the second edition looks like it's going to be at least as good, if not better. And
yeah, I'm hoping to get a review copy of that, but Activision's been a bit cagey, so I have to call them, I think, not do the usual email method to try and squeeze one out of them. But yeah, it's coming out April 24, so look forward to that next week.
There is a good title coming out tomorrow on Xbox Live Arcade, Trials Evolution. Not sure.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yep.
The Trials HD guys, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I loved the first game, absolutely loved it, and this one just looks fantastic because now they're giving people the ability to make their own maps and stuff. So that should just be pretty amazing. So really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
speaking of,
and also,
go ahead.
Yeah, if you liked the original Max Payne, you can get that on your iPhone or iPad, I think, right now. And for Android, it's coming out next week, I believe. So I'll be looking forward to that. I haven't played the original Max Payne, but I've enjoyed Rockstar's port of GTA 3, so I think I'll be picking that up. I know, it's... I
never had a more frustrating gaming experience. I couldn't get past Pump Action Pimp. I literally... I could not get past the first level where they give you a gun. I couldn't get past it.
In Max Payne, the original
clunky... No, in the Grand Theft Auto on the iPad.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? The controls were the worst controls I've ever played on a game ever made.
I do agree the controls are pretty bad. I'm stuck on the one where you have to shoot this stupid vendor. He's like an Asian dude in a vendor, and you have to go in there and shoot his like mates and stuff. I'm stuck on that one, but I'll give it time. I think.
Yeah, but see, right there, like any game that you're stuck on the controls, stuck because of the controls, that's bad. Like I can't play it. I can't support it. I can't play it. I was so upset because I was so... You don't know how happy I was to be playing that. That game, out of any Grand Theft Auto, is by far the one I played the most. And actually, me and my now wife, we had just gotten together when that came out, and she got really sick. She had a kidney infection and didn't even know it. And literally all I did was play Grand Theft Auto 3 the entire time she was sick. So... I just have real fond memories of that game, and I was really looking forward to playing it again. And the controls just frustrated me to no end. It's why it's one of the reasons I'm so anti gaming on iOS, because of the controls of that game.
Oh,
I find that on Android, it like the controls are. I mean, they're not great, but there's sometimes when it just crashes mid-level, and that's kind of frustrating. But I think
really,
yeah, I haven't actually played it that much, so I don't think I've like gotten used to the controls enough to actually say that they're a complete write-off. But yeah, what you're saying does sort of head down the path that it is going to be a frustrating time, especially because the end levels of Grand Theft Auto games, the early ones, are really hard. So
yeah,
that's going to be pretty much impossible on a mobile. But I'm going to give Max Payne a try because I haven't played that.
One of my favorite games ever. Honestly, I know I say that a lot, but
it is.
It really is it is one of my favorite games ever.
I think the first two games are the first two games I really enjoy a lot. Yeah, definitely. And of course, Max Payne 3 is coming out on in just a few weeks.
Yeah, May 15. Same date as Diablo 3. So.
Same day as Diablo 3. Yeah, two pretty major games coming out on that same day. I think I just read that Marvel Comics is actually going to be creating some kind of digital comic book based on Max Payne 3. So if you're a comic book fan, you can check that out soon.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's cool.
Wanted that I wanted to mention quickly that if you have an Xbox 360 console but not subscribed to the Xbox Live Gold service, starting on Thursday and running through Monday, you'll be able to check out all of the video apps that Microsoft has for the Xbox Live Gold service. They won't be unlocking multiplayer gaming during this time. Sorry. So if you thought you were going to be getting some free multiplayer time on Modern Warfare 2, you're going to be out of luck. But you'll be able to check out all of the multiplayer, not multiplayer, but all of the video apps like Hulu Plus, Netflix, Epix, Cinema Now, Crackle, YouTube, Sci-Fi, all that stuff. If you're interested in that sort of thing. So, if just wanted to quickly mention that, what else is going on? Well, I guess that's getting close to the end.
I have one thing.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
I have one quick thing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that just based on, I don't know if you guys got it, but I got a survey in the mail from PlayStation the other day.
Oh, really?
It was about, it was all about how I felt about being a PlayStation Plus subscriber, if I owned an Xbox 360, and if I did, was I a member of Live, and if I was a member of Live, what did I feel was worth paying for and what wasn't. So long story short, especially with the whole news about Sony's financial situation, I'd say the PSN as we know it is definitely going to change, at least with PS4, if not sooner. I think they might wait till PS4 because I think they're probably smart enough to realize people have accepted it for what it is on the PS3. But this survey, all signs point to it will be more like Live, where you got to pay for multiplayer and all that. So just wanted to throw that out there because I thought it was kind of interesting.
Well, that certainly tracks with some of the rumors that Sony, in an attempt to get out of their current financial situation, that they're probably going to start charging more for their PlayStation Network service. That was one of the big, selling points of the PS3, is that unlike the Xbox 360, where a lot of their major content was unavailable until you pay for a subscription, you can go on the PlayStation Network and do Netflix, and if you pay for the Netflix subscription, you could use it. You didn't have to pay extra for the PlayStation Network. So I don't know if that's going to continue or not, based on your survey.
Yeah, I'd say it's almost guaranteed not to.
Yeah, but then again, the fact that the PSN's free hasn't really made a difference to people choosing that over the Xbox 360, because the Xbox 360 has been the most popular console for the past 14 months or something. So it is a selling point, but it's not like a huge deterrent that you have to pay for the Xbox Live. So,
well, I think that's true up to a point, but I think that our current economic situation is making people probably think twice about paying for that monthly or yearly Xbox Live subscription, and I think that difference is going to be less of an issue as well. I think if Sony, I personally think that Sony should continue on its track. It makes the PlayStation Network have an edge over the Xbox 360, even though the Xbox 360 may have an edge in terms of popularity. I think if Sony moves to that same model, it just makes them look just like the Xbox 360, and what difference does it make? So I think they lose a big marketing point.
And I think you're also talking about it from a non-global point of view, Tim, because the Xbox 360 dominates in the U.S. and it also dominates in some other territories. But if this was a Japanese podcast, we'd be saying the PS3 dominates. Global sales are pretty close for the two at the end of the day. It's the last time I heard, I think it was like 65 million for the Xbox and 63 million for the PS3. So yeah, it's still 2 more million for the Xbox, but I mean, when you're in that many millions, that's a pretty
significant amount either way, you know. So I think yeah, Xbox obviously completely dominates in certain territories, but I still think the PS3, as far as this generation went, it was nowhere near as doomed as people thought it was going to be, you know. And the truth of the matter is, the Wii dominated both of them pretty handily too. So I think I'm with John. I'm with John here. You know, I think the PSN is a selling point, and you know, especially if they could somehow keep it free for the PS4, that could very well determine some people's, you know. I know a couple coworkers that's why they bought their PlayStations. They I won't call them like hardcore gamers, but they were somewhat serious about gaming, but they, you know, oh, I don't want to have to pay an extra money just to pay something online, so I'll pick up the PlayStation. And you know, even though it's not a lot of people, there are some people that do think that. So you know, I think that is kind of a blow for Sony, because it was always a bullet point on their whole, you know, this is why the PlayStation is better. So I don't know. I think it's kind of a hard hit, and they're kind of taking hard hits all over the place. The Vita sales are just downright dismal now. It's pretty sad.
It is. It's sad.
Yeah.
And which I unfortunately, we all unfortunately predicted would happen. I mean, I mean, you enjoy your PS Vita, I know, Larry, a lot.
Yeah, I do, and it's sad to me that, you know, but with that said, we've discussed it, and I've beaten it to death on this podcast. It makes sense to me why it's not selling well. There was a big part of me that was hoping that it wouldn't be the case, because I kind of think, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking to in the very beginning with the whole Apple and Valve thing. Like, it's kind of a new time in gaming, and like it or not, I think the casual market might take over I think it might take over all gaming, period, and that's why something like a Kickstarter is really important, because I hate to say this, I think that might be one of our only avenues to play like non-casual games in the future. And you know, I hope it doesn't get that drastic. Yeah, I hope it doesn't get that drastic. And you know, I'm being a sensationalist and when I'm saying all this, but kind of signs kind of do point that way. Because I think the Vita, like, I don't even think it's a question. It's hands down the best mobile handheld device you could get. Hands down. Like, it has nothing to do with the fact whether I like Sony or not. I really don't care about any company. I don't show I like gaming. So if you're a good company that has, you know, if you offer a good gaming experience, I like you. So
right.
That's the only reason I like Sony, you know, because I think the Vita is an awesome little machine, and it upsets me because if sales of that continue to be so poor, which it looks like they're going to be, then that means that whole market is kind of gone. And so I really do hope that Apple and Valve are working on something to bring legitimate controls to the iPad, because it looks like that might be my only choice in a year or two. So, you know, it's an interesting time, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it all plays out. And the smartest thing Sony could do is drop the Vita to about $150.
I think they're going to have to. I think they're going to have. They're going to have to do what Nintendo did with the 3DS when they saw that sales simply weren't performing. They're going to have to cut down the price of the PS Vita pretty drastically before the holiday seasons in order to move some units. So
I think one of the things about the casual gaming market, though, is it's a lot of people that don't normally play like the serious games. I don't think it's more serious gamers turning into casual gamers. It's more like non-gamers turning into casual gamers. Like a lot of the people I see around the place, I don't think they've ever played like a full serious game in their life, but they enjoy things like Temple Run and, you know, draw something on their iPhone. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's going to take over, but it's definitely going to become the bigger market. But I definitely still think that, you know, the hardcore games will have a place in the hardcore gamers, you know, in their circles. And I don't fully agree with you, Larry, that Kickstarter will be the only way, because if you see like even now they're breaking sales records all the time for big budget games like, you know, Modern Warfare 3 and all that, you know, breaking sales records, breaking money records, and, you know, they're pumping heaps of money into games like, you know, Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that. So I would say it's...
Well, yeah. I should have put an asterisk then after my comment, because, yeah, it goes without saying that those games will keep on coming out, but, you know, if it's only... I guess what I'm worried about is if it's only blockbusters and only casual games, where is the middle ground, like a Rayman Origins that I'm enjoying so much? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's a fair point.
That's I guess I should have explained myself a little more. Like, obviously Call of Duties, the Halos, that stuff's all going to exist because we're here. You know, the market for that stuff is there. But it's the smaller, more hardcore games that I'm kind of worried about, because that's mainly what I play. And, you know, if I'm a developer and I'm looking, you know, we might soon be looking at a future where they could either develop a casual game that they could sell to a whole huge audience because of the iOS device, or the only chance they have is a big blockbuster mega game that they have to dump millions and millions of dollars in. You know, I think it's pretty obvious what direction most developers would go in, and that'd be more the casual side. So I guess I needed to explain myself a little further. That's what I really am worried about. Like, no doubt I'll still be able to play Battlefield and, you know, even BioShocks and stuff like that. I think they'll still make it, but I'm kind of just concerned about, like, the middle ground of gaming and what could potentially happen to that. So, you know, maybe nothing and everything will stay the same, but it's kind of like, I don't know, it kind of just seems like, and if you think about it, like, not to get too deep about it, because it is just video games, but obviously we take it serious, that's why we do the podcast. Like, it's kind of happened with all entertainment at some point in time, whether you're talking like music or you know, movies or even television. Like, you know, there's always been a point where the big, more commercial stuff winds up dominating the smaller middle ground stuff, and you either have, like, you know, super underground or you have really mainstream. Like, that's kind of where music is right now. Like, there's not really a whole lot of, like, in between with music, you know, like, and music is kind of a bad example because you do have iTunes, and that allows a lot of groups to, like, you know, expose themselves. But I think you get what I mean. Like, it kind of inevitably happens with all entertainment, and I'm just kind of hoping it doesn't with video games. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. I think there's more opportunity for independent game developers than ever before to really stand out in this situation, and I think, again, as I've mentioned before, I think that's going to be a detriment to the big game publishers, just like it has been for the music publishing industry. Look like it's going to be for the book publishing industry. All of these game creators are going to be self-publishing games and release them on their own. And the big game developers are going to go, you know, like you said, Larry, are going to concentrate on the big game blockbusters. So it's good. Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting time.
Yeah, I think they might get a few shocks too. Like, the big gaming industry will get a few shocks for some really successful indie games funded by Kickstarter. I think that'll be something that they'll be, you know, looking out for. A really successful one that will, you know, blow them away in terms of, you know, why didn't we do that? So just have to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I hope so. Now, and it also leads to, like, the curious question is, are those games going to still be on consoles? Like, a lot of Kickstarter projects are PC focused right now. So is that going to make PC, you know, is that going to, you know, people have said PC gaming is dead, but that's not true. But is that going to make it even more popular now because of it?
I think
it's an interesting time. Yeah, absolutely.
I think it could. Because the console systems, by their very nature, have to be more or less closed systems. And, you know, the big three trade publishers may not want to deal with independent game developers who have developed the game and funded them on their own, as opposed to, you know, the people they usually do, which is with these big monolithic game publishers. So, you know, there's been some, you know, Microsoft and Sony have worked with smaller game developers in the past, but, you know, it hasn't been nearly as much as with the big game publishers. So, you know, I personally, you know, Microsoft does have their indie games things where anybody can post up their games, but they really don't promote it that much. And it also tends to be a lot of games that are kind of crappy. You know? They're pretty crappy.
They are. I check that channel once in a while, and I mean, I'll just spend $1 because that's usually what the games cost, you know, and I've wasted a whole lot of dollars on that channel.
It's amazing that, you know, there are a lot of quality games on the iOS platform that you can get for $1 or less, and that really hasn't translated to the consoles, and you would think it would. You know,
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure why that. I'm not quite sure why that hasn't. I think mainly because Microsoft hasn't really promoted it that much. They have the same kind of system as Apple does, and yet but Microsoft refuses to rather put the emphasis on their Xbox Live Arcade system with these relatively larger budget downloadable games. So I don't know. I think they need to re-examine that policy.
Yep, definitely.
Yep. Before we end it, I know we're going over a little longer than we normally do. I wanted to quickly mention another Kickstarter campaign, Grim Dawn. And I actually known these guys for a while. This is being developed by a game developer called Crate Entertainment. They used to work at a now unfortunately shut down game developer called Iron Lore that made the Titan Quest games. I feel with that, Larry or Tim, those Titan Quests are kind of a Diablo-ish action RPG games set in a kind of a ancient Greek setting.
Yeah, I've definitely recall hearing of them. I heard of them. Yep.
They came out from THQ. I don't think they sold very well at first, but I think they've got, again, amassed a cult following. Grim Dawn is using the same engine as the Titan Quest engine, developed by a couple of the same people. They've actually been working on this game for a couple of years now, and now they've launched their Kickstarter campaign to raise enough money to finish it. They have a $280,000 goal. They launched it today. They've already raised over $54,000. So they're well on their way to completing that goal. So just want to go to the Kickstarter page and search for Grim Dawn, and you'll find it. And if you want to support that, and if you remember playing the Titan Quest games and like playing it, you might want to check that out.
Yep, go support them.
Yep. And I think we'll wrap this up today, unless anyone else has something else they really want to quickly mention.
No, I'm all done here, I think.
Alrighty. Go ahead, Larry.
I just was checking my email real quick, and I'm on the Kotaku mailing list, and I just thought it was really ironic. The Kotaku email today is about how the Domino's iPad game that could transform the way we order pizza. It's just kind of ironic. Based on what we were all just talking about, I get an email about a iPad video game about making pizzas.
That's funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh Lord. What will they come up with next? Okay. All right, guys. Well, thanks to everybody who has listened live to the streaming podcast, and also thanks to those of you who will be listening to us when this podcast is uploaded later on today. We hope you enjoy it, and we will be back next week to talk about the past week in gaming. And for Tim and Larry, this is John Callahan. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.